Hey, how's it going? In today's video, I'm going to be doing another chalk art. If you haven't seen the turtle I drew a few weeks ago, I'll link it in the description and put it up in the card just in case you wanted to see that. So with this chalk art, I kind of want to do something bigger than I've done before, and I thought it might be fun to draw like a life-size koi pond, so that's what I did. First things first, I have to do my sketch. So I started off by drawing pebbles in like a lumpy circle to make the perimeter of the pond. Then I put walking stones in the middle and drew in the koi fish. Alright, now my sketch is done, so I'm gonna start shading the pebbles and stones. So I just used the same color of chalk that I used to draw the pebbles and blended from the edge inwards, leaving the middle alone, using the sidewalk to color the center basically. Then it's time to start on the koi fish. I only drew 3 fish. I really wish I'd done more, but you know, I can't really change it now, so oh well. I looked up some pictures of koi fish to use as a rough color guide. They all ended up being like calico colored, but I think they look nice together, and I especially like the last one. And after doing the fish, I decided the stepping stones needed to stand out a little bit more. So I used a back, obviously. After doing the fish, I decided that the stepping stones needed to stand out a bit more, so I used a black chalk pastel to outline them, and then kind of blended that inwards a little bit to give it a little more shadow around the edges. I wanted to do the same thing to the pebbles around the edge, but I just didn't have the time, patience, or enough chalk pastel really to do it, so they're just gonna stay as they are. Now that I've got all of those details taken care of, it's time to start coloring in the water. I started off using this light blue color. I actually got this chalk from the Dollar Tree. It's not as good quality as the chalk I have linked below, but it works just fine. Oh, speaking of linked below, I have all the chalks that I like to use linked below, just in case you're interested in doing some chalk art but don't know what kind of chalk to get. There's some of my favorites, but you know, any sidewalk chalk works, just like I was saying. This is just Dollar Tree chalk, so it doesn't really matter too much. I think I ended up using like 4 chalk pieces to fill this in. It was a lot. After I got the main color down, I added in some other blues and whites to add some variety in hopes that it would kind of make it look a little bit more white water. Oh, okay, cool. After I got the main color down, I added in some other blues and whites to add some variety in hopes that it would make it to look a little bit more like water. I don't know that it really worked, but I tried. It's fine. And finally, I'm on to the blending of all of the water. This was a little bit tricky because I didn't want to be covered in chalk because of how big the thing was. I was worried I'd have to like sit on it to be able to blend it. I should have done smaller chunks of blue instead of doing it all at once, but you live and you learn. The middle was like especially hard to get to. I ended up like leaning on one of the stepping stone rocks basically because there's less chalk there. And then I was kind of able to reach all the harder to get spots. Another perk to doing it in smaller chunks would have been saving my hands. This totally wrecked my fingertips. They were sore for like a week after this from all the blending. My mom suggested I should try using like a sponge or something instead, but when I used the sponge it kind of just like brushed off a whole bunch of the chalk instead of like really blending it into the ground, and it would take in so many layers to get it as pigmented as I could with my fingertips. So I decided that probably wasn't the best idea. I also tried using a brush and that kind of had the same results, so I don't know, for me it works best to use my fingertips, but if you guys have any other ideas, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can try them next time. Anyways, enough about all my blending experiments. Now it's done! I'll be honest, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. It's not as epic as I want it to be, you know? It's kind of meh. Don't get me wrong though, I still think it's pretty cool because of how big it is. It also took quite a long time, not to mention the scarring of my fingertips. To be honest, it wasn't that bad. And it was good to test my limits and, try different blending methods and figure out what works best. After I finished this, I was like, no way am I ever doing something like this again. But now that it's been a bit, I kind of think it might be fun to try something big again. But just like doing it in smaller chunks and making sure to not blend too much in one day. I think it could be manageable and I think I can make something cool. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It's also gonna snow soon, so I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do that many chalk arts for a bit. I also think I should just draw a koi pond just on paper so that I can make it as epic as I was hoping this one would be, and make up for this. I don't know, what do you guys think? Anyways, I really appreciate you watching and making it to the end of this video. If you're interested in seeing more stuff like this, maybe consider checking out my other videos and subscribing. I also have an Instagram where I post other art stuff, including some other chalk arts that I've done that I haven't posted videos on. So if you want to see some of that stuff, I'll link it in the description. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.